Everyone tells you the same thing: move first and you win. It might be the most expensive lie in business. The pioneers, the companies that got there first, most of them are dead. The ones that waited, watched, and moved second, they run the world. Let me show you why.
In 1996, one company owned the front door to the internet. It was first, it was brilliant, and today you have probably never heard of it. The company that arrived 2 years later and buried it was Google. First mover advantage is on trial. Be first and you win forever. It is the most trusted instinct in business. The reason companies burn billions to ship before they are ready. I've spent 17 years in international markets watching firms race to be first. Today we find out whether being first is an advantage or a trap. The idea is simple and seductive. Get to a new market first, and you lock in the customers, the brand, the patents, and the supply chains before anyone else arrives. You set the standard. By the time competitors show up, the game is already over. For decades, this was treated less like a theory and more like a law of nature. And you can see why we believe it. We tell the story of business through its pioneers, the inventor who got there first and changed the world. It makes a clean headline and a better legend. But a legend is built from the handful who survived. Nobody writes the story of the pioneer who got to the future early, planted a flag, and was never heard from again. Keep that blind spot in mind, because this whole trial lives inside it. Pioneer the category. Capture the customers while switching is impossible. Ride the learning curve down faster than anyone can follow. The first mover, the theory says, builds a moat that widens every single day. It is the logic behind the land grab, the blitz skill, the move fast and break things. Be first or be finished. Here is the cleanest way to think about it. Imagine a 100-meter race, but the runner who starts first also gets to keep running while everyone else is still tying their shoes. That is the first mover story. The trouble is what the story leaves out, that the runner in front cannot see behind them, paid to build the track, and is often exhausted by the time the real competition arrives. The question is not whether being first helps. It is whether being first is what actually wins. That is the twist. The court will hear both sides. We begin with the defense, because sometimes the pioneer really does win. Exhibit 1 for the defense: Amazon Web Services. In 2006, Amazon did something no serious company had done. It rented out its own computers to strangers. Analysts called it a distraction. 19 years later, AWS still holds around a third of the entire cloud market, ahead of Microsoft and Google combined for most of that run. This is first mover advantage working exactly as advertised. Why did Amazon keep the lead when giants with more money attacked? Switching costs. Once a company builds its entire business on top of AWS, moving is like changing the foundation of a house while you live in it. Amazon also spent 19 years learning how to run data centers at a scale its rivals were only beginning to attempt. Here, first did not just mean early. First meant compounding. Exhibit 2 for the defense: Microsoft Windows. By getting onto the world's business computers early, Windows became the standard, and then something powerful happened. Every developer wrote their software for Windows because that is where the customers were. And every customer stayed on Windows because that is where the software was. The pioneer didn't just have users. It had an entire ecosystem locking itself in year after year for 30 years. The defense rests on a pattern. First mover advantage is genuine when being early lets you build something that grows on its own deep switching costs, a network that gets better with every user, a standard everyone else has to build around. When the lead compounds, the pioneer can win for decades. Hold that idea, because the prosecution is about to show you what happens when it doesn't. The defense showed you the exception. The prosecution will now show you the rule. Exhibit 1 for the prosecution. In 1993, two researchers, Peter Golder and Gerard Tellis did something no one had bothered to do. They went back and counted. They studied the real pioneers of dozens of product categories, not the survivors everyone remembers. What they found should have ended the debate. Nearly half of all market pioneers, 47%, eventually failed. The companies that let the pioneer go first, watched, and then moved. Their failure rate was 8%. Being first did not protect you. Being first roughly quintupled your odds of dying. The survivors we worship are the lottery winners. The graveyard is full of the ones who bought the same ticket and lost. And it is not bad luck. Going first comes with 3 taxes. 1. You educate the market for free, you spend the money teaching customers they even want this, and the next company sells to a crowd you warmed up. 2. You bet early so you get locked into the first technology, the first standard, the first guess right before someone arrives with a better one. 3. You build the expensive road, the factory, the supply chain, the infrastructure that your followers get to drive on cheaply. The pioneer pays, the follower profits. Return to where we started. AltaVista launched in 1995 and was, for a moment, the best search engine on Earth, fast, powerful, the front door to the web. Google arrived 3 years later with a better idea about which results actually mattered. AltaVista had the head start, the traffic, and the brand. It is gone. Google answers your questions today. First to search did not win search. BlackBerry invented the smartphone that mattered, email in your pocket, the device that ran Wall Street and the White House. At its peak, it held roughly half the US smartphone market. Then Apple and Google redefined what a phone was, and BlackBerry's share fell to effectively 0. It was first. It was dominant. And being first told it nothing about the war that was coming. And money does not save you. In the dot-com boom, Webvan raised over $1 billion to be first to deliver your groceries, and Pets.com became famous being first to sell pet food online. Both were early. Both were funded by the smartest investors alive. Both were gone within a few years. 2 decades later, others did the exact same thing to enormous, profitable businesses. The pioneers proved the idea, paid for it with their lives, and someone else collected. Friendster built the modern social network years before Facebook. It had the users, the buzz, and the head start. It buckled under its own growth while a fast follower watched, learned, and built something that scaled. Today, one of them connects 3 billion people. The other is a trivia answer. The pattern is not an accident. It is the rule. Now watch what the winner actually does. The smart follower never races to be first. They let the pioneer spend the money proving the market is real. They watch which features customers love and which they ignore. They learn from every mistake the pioneer makes in public, and then they arrive, a little late with the better version, aimed at a market that already knows it wants the thing. It looks like patience. It is actually strategy. This is not history. The exact same fight is being decided in front of us in artificial intelligence. In late 2022, OpenAI shipped ChatGPT and detonated the category. It was first in the way that matters first into the public's hands. It set the standard, took the brand, and for a while looked unbeatable, holding the clear majority of the market. The textbook says the game is over, but look closer at who is chasing. Here is the irony at the heart of the case. The technology that makes ChatGPT possible, the transformer, was invented at Google in 2017, years before OpenAI productized it. Google was first to the science and let someone else be first to the product. Now Google is doing what fast followers do best, catching up. Its assistant has climbed from a few percent of the market toward a quarter of it in roughly 18 months, carried by the one thing OpenAI cannot copy: distribution. Google is already on billions of phones. And look at the taxes being paid in real time. OpenAI is educating the entire planet about what these tools can do for free, while every rival sells into the demand it created. It is burning billions to run the infrastructure, while followers build cheaper on lessons OpenAI paid to learn. Being first bought OpenAI a brand and a lead. The open question, the whole case in one sentence, is whether it can build a real moat before Google's distribution simply walks past it. That is the whole case in one line. There are three races, not one. First to invent the thing, first to ship the thing, and first to win the market. We collapse them into a single word first, and assume the same company takes all three. History says they almost never do. The inventor, the shipper, and the winner are usually three different companies. So what is the verdict on first mover advantage? Read the evidence together and the truth is sharper than the slogan. First mover advantage is not an advantage. It is an opportunity, a head start to build the things that actually defend a business. Switching costs, network effects, distribution, a cost curve no one can match. Amazon and Microsoft used the head start to build a moat. AltaVista, BlackBerry, Friendster, and a graveyard of funded pioneers used it to build a target. The advantage was never being first. It was what you did with the lead before the fast follower arrived. So if you are about to bet everything on being first, the lesson is not don't. It is this: being first is only worth it if you can use the lead to build something a follower cannot copy. If you can't, you are just paying to educate your competition. Sometimes the smartest move in the room is to let someone else go first and arrive second with the better answer at a market they paid to create. The verdict, first mover advantage, as most people use it, is flawed. Being first is not a moat, it is a head start, and a head start you waste is just an expensive way to lose. The companies that win are rarely the ones that move first. They are the ones that move first on what matters and let someone else pay to discover the rest. So before you burn the budget to be first, ask the only question that survived this trial. First at what? Court is adjourned.
So here's the verdict. Being first isn't the moat everyone thinks it is. It's a head start, and a head start you waste is just an expensive way to lose. The companies that win aren't the ones that move first. They're the ones that move first on what actually matters. If this changed how you see it, subscribe. The next case is already on the docket. This is business on trial.